Hello there, YouTube. I am Necrostevo, and I know you've been waiting for more mayhem. For Season 2 of Low Tier Mayhem, we are here with our Week 2 opponent. Of course, in Week 1, we finally broke our losing streak. So the real question is, can we break our tendency to win one battle and then lose one immediately after? You can see the matchup here on the screen. Our opponent is Kirby, and Kirby is the coach of the Toronto Rapscors. I'm pretty sure you already know about Kirby if you're watching this video. However, if you have not seen that very cool enigmatic battle style that Kirby is famous for, be sure to go check out their information below. Now, with the team that Kirby has, you can see that for this matchup, yeah, I only had to deal with 9 Pokemon choices here. That was actually pretty nice overall, because I had an inkling that I'd be seeing the Yuxi, the Swampert, the Feraligatr, and then really a toss-up between everything else, including the Chimecho. Kirby is a very talented battler when it comes to drawing out the potential of unusual choices, so I took everything into account with the Pokemon that I brought for this. So up first we have our choice banded Flamigo. This is just a breaker for the matchup because he really didn't have anything that could swap into the stabs. Like, he could outspeed me with Hawlucha and go for that, but just the overall pressure that I could put on him with that, I wanted to have that for the match here. We also have Vaporeon and Bellibolt forming our dual defensive core, both with near max defense. Really just there to swap, like the Vaporeon is there for the Swampert, and the Bellibolt is there for things like the Chestnut. That way I don't have to worry about the stab moves from either one. Brambleghast, I'm hoping win this battle to just lead with it and hopefully set up spikes or Strength Sap and be annoying. We have Choice Scarf Gengar and a really cool Curse Morning Sun Arcanine. Arcanine has enough speed to outspeed Feraligatr if I haven't used Curse, but the idea is that I could hopefully clean up the end game with either Flamigo or Arcanine while using Gengar and my Brambleghast earlier on to not only annoy things, but get up the spikes, prevent him from removing things, and yeah, just kind of pivot around and see what I can chip away at. Because once Arcanine gets up a Curse or two, I don't really need the speed. I was a little bit sad to see Mismagius because that means that I can't just go on an extreme speed run. Same thing with the Revavroom there. I honestly wasn't expecting those, and that's why I even put Toxic Spikes onto my Gengar, not expecting to see the Revavroom as much. And I did have Gengar as Life Orb. Right before this battle, I swapped it to Choice Scarf, expecting to see the Hawlucha or maybe a Scarf Mismagius, neither of which I wanted to deal with. So we'll see if that decision ends up mattering later on. Another thing that happened right before the battle is that I ended up taking Rapid Spin off of Brambleghast in exchange for putting on Shadow Sneak. Originally I had Strength Sap, Power Whip, Rapid Spin, and yeah.
Then I moved to the suburbs with Pompadour, my rainbow frog husband, and raised a couple of windmills. And
I completely lost my train of thought because I am narrating this after work. I swear I just heard like a chicken just mentally just go, Snappy. But here on the field, we have Snappy. Also, one of the coolest things about Kirby's team, this lad just went to Spotify and said, hey, I need a team. And Spotify said, and gave this man a great team. So we do get the lead Brambleghast. He immediately swaps out to Chestnut, and I just went for Strength Sap in case he tried to set up. I was really worried about Dragon Dance Feraligatr, and he doesn't know that this Brambleghast has max HP, max attack, so he actually outsped me there. But I do have Culver Berry. Clear Amulet stops the any stat drops from your moves or your abilities. And so while I cannot lower his attack like I planned on, with my max HP investment, I will be able to take infinite knockoffs as long as I can sit here and Strength Sap. This also really helps deter Revavroom from setting up, and also the Feraligatr. So unfortunately, that does mean that when I bring in my Arcanine and I Intimidate, I won't be doing that much. I actually brought in Bellibolt to Toxic here, and he ends up getting the Paralysis. That I didn't really want him to get the Paralysis. I only put Static on there, honestly, expecting the Hawlucha. And he does have Terra Electric on his Feraligatr. I did have it for the Feraligatr as well, in case he decided to go with a different Terra type, like Terra Ground, maybe. But since he is paralyzed, that means that I cannot Toxic him. And I'm just going to stay in and throw off a few moves. On the first turn, I missed the Muddy Water and he got paralyzed. Then I used Discharge for basically negligible damage. Here we're going to try to swap out and hope that he gets paralyzed or swaps, because I don't want to lose my heavy duty boots, because Chestnut can set up spikes, the Swampert or the Yuxi can set up stealth rocks. He does get paralyzed as I come in, so I get to come in for free, which is cool. And here I can just throw off a Flare Blitz. Swampert can't recover its HP. I do suspect that Chestnut has Synthesis, and so I do want to take advantage of that in the future by hopefully forcing it to recover and getting my Brave Birding going on in front of it. But here we're just going to go straight for Flare Blitz. I knew that the Swampert was coming in, but I just wanted damage on it. I could have gone for Extreme Speed, but if he stayed in with the Chestnut for some reason, then I would have done much less damage to the Chestnut. So Swampert does come in. I'm expecting a flip turn here, but I don't have a good way to punish that. I also could have gone out into Surge to try to get the Paralysis on it. But in my head, I wanted the Toxic on it, so that's why I didn't go straight out into Bellibolt. And of course, that is risking the Earthquake in case he decides to go for Earthquake on Arcanine and switching Bellibolt, and that would not be great. So Stealth Rocks go up, and since I don't have Rapid Spin on my Brambleghast because I swapped it for Shadow Sneak, I won't be able to remove those. But he doesn't have any removal either. He does swap hard out into his Yuxi, and I don't really do any damage with that Scald, and I don't get the burn. The residual damage would be nice here, but I just need to keep on chipping things away and putting them in range of my other Pokemon. Now, Yuxi can get access to Healing Wish, so I do need to be aware that just because I get something really low, he can bring it back to a high amount of HP, or full rather. He paralyzes my Vaporeon as I flip turn out, and this is feeling an awful lot like the yellow color of weeks past. So hopefully the paralyses do not go against our favor. I do go directly out into my Brambleghast because he doesn't know that I don't have Poltergeist. And Poltergeist actually would have been amazing in this battle. The downside of Poltergeist that I found is that when your opponent has access to something like Hawlucha that wants to get rid of its item so that it can use something like Unburden, then Poltergeist is less useful against those. So that's why I didn't bother running it. I just went with Shadow Sneak instead. Chestnut comes back out here, and I'm just going to get up Spikes, especially since now he has up his Stealth Rocks. There is no reason to not play the Hazard War here. Now, I am at dangerously low HP, so we are going to Strength Sap up just a couple of times. And remember, the game plan here is that if I can get him to use Synthesis instead of going for Knockoff on one of those turns, I can get my Flamigo on the field. And Flamigo can 1-hit KO or 2-hit KO every single thing on his side of the screen. So as soon as I'm able to force him into going for that Synthesis, that's going to be my time. Now here, I was like, okay, he's at about half HP. If he's going to use Synthesis, he might do it right now. But also, I don't want to go too much lower in my HP in case I need to come in and take a hit later. But we are going to make the call and try to go out to Flamigo, hoping that he either goes for Synthesis or a different move. We've only seen this Chestnut use Knockoff. Maybe that's the only move it has. I don't know. But here we do see the Synthesis, so he does get back to full HP. But I got my Flamigo on the field just like I wanted. So now it is time to go for Brave Birds. Flamigo's speed tier is a little bit interesting here because it's going to speed tie with several of his potential Pokemon, because I just went for a Jolly Max speed here. But I am slower than his Yuxi, and if Yuxi has like enough speed investment to outspeed my Flamigo, that could be very annoying. because I don't want my Flamigo getting paralyzed, but also Yuxi can just go for a Psychic type move and blow my Flamigo up as well. So a few different things to consider there, but right now it is just Brave Bird time, and this is really why I drafted Flamigo, because of the ability to just go for these strong Brave Birds. And we can see there I almost KO the Yuxi from about 80% HP. He gets its Citrus Berry, and I'm annoyed now because I was like, if he outspeeds me and kills my Flamigo, I'm going to be very annoyed. So I end up making a very safe swap here. I think that the better play probably would have been to just get rid of the Yuxi. And that's kind of the theme of this battle. There's going to be several opportunities where I just have a chance to attack, and I don't take it. It's just like there's some sort of little chip there, and I'm hesitating, and I don't like that. When you see the opportunity to go for blood, you take their blood. Even if it's a cutie like Yuxi, don't matter. I think if you open up Yuxi's Book of Knowledge, it would say thusly. Now, Vaporeon coming in here, I do take a little bit of chip from Foul Play, and that would have been a dead Yuxi, because Foul Play would not have done that much to my Flamigo. I would have been down to probably a little less than half health, I would imagine, because Flamigo doesn't have high HP. But Vaporeon doesn't take any damage from it, and so I just get to go for Wish here, and I went for Wish going, okay, I can hopefully pass this off to someone else. But since he keeps on going for Foul Play, I was like, is he predicting me to swap into something? Because I was going to go out into maybe like my Arcanine or someone else, but since he kept on going for Foul Play, I didn't want to swap into something physically offensive. But now I'm stuck with the Encore. I did try to just go for a Scald that turn, so the paralysis didn't really end up mattering. But I would have loved to swap in something there so that something else would have gotten the Wish instead of Vaporeon. Now, at this part in the battle here, I do want to swap out into Belly Bolt, because we've seen U-Turn, Encore, and Foul Play. And so that means he most likely can't really touch Belly Bolt. He goes for the U-Turn and he does not get paralyzed, and that's fine. He goes out into Feraligatr and immediately goes for the Terra Electric. And I got way too in my head about this, because I can either go for Discharge or I can go for Muddy Water. And I was like, well, what if he doesn't Terra and I go for the Muddy Water and I leave damage on the field? And so I ended up going for Discharge.
Who's ready to discharge?
Expecting him to expect me to expect him to not Terra. That was all stupid. I should have just gone for Muddy Water. Granted, I missed the Muddy Water earlier, so I don't know. Here, I do end up just staying in, trying to just throw off a little bit more damage, because I was trying to make sure that he was in range of a +1 extreme speed. And so if I had gone for the Muddy Water, that would have done a little bit more damage, assuming that I actually hit it. Now, from this point here, we have a couple of options. Number one, I know that I'm faster than him because we've seen him switch moves. So that means my Flamigo outspeeds. He should think that my Bramblegast outspeeds. That also means that my Gengar will outspeed. And also my Arcanine, because that's how I trained it, is to be 1 point faster than max speed for Alligator. So thinking that he will expect my Bramblegast to be very fast, this has no speed investment on this Bramblegast, I go out to it, hoping to just take it out with the Power Whip. From this range with max attack, I can take it out, and I was hoping that he would like try to swap out to something and take more damage there. But really the obvious safe swap is the Chestnut. But that's okay, because every time it comes in, it has to take the Power Whip after the spikes. And so I'm going to go ahead and get up my third layer of spikes here, because that means if we're doing this again, I'll be able to hopefully 2-hit KO the Chestnut from that range. Because we're in this constant cycle of Bramblegast versus Chestnut. And that's why I really wish I had Poltergeist. But we don't have Poltergeist, so I can't really say that here. Now here, hoping that he either gets paralyzed or just continues with the swaps, I go out into my Arcanine, and unfortunately that means that we do take a knockoff here, which removes our heavy duty boots. That's going to come into huge play later on because the Stealth Rocks are up. Now this is our time though. Here we want to go for Curse, because at +1 and +1 on my defenses and my attack. That means that not only can I go for Flare Blitz versus the Rev Room, like I'll live whatever hit it wants to go for, and I can hit it with the Flare Blitz, but I can also go for Extreme Speed versus the Swampert or the Yuxi here. Now, I was really tempted to go for Morning Sun and get my health back, but that is a poor idea. Number one, he has Foul Play, so he would still do decent damage because my attack and defense are boosted equally. Number two, he could have just encored me, and then I would have had to switch out and take more Stealth Rocks. So we just take the KO this time. This time, I remember to take the blood. However, that Feraligatr looks so close to being in range of the Extreme Speed. And I was like, oh man, I don't know if I want to get another chance to set it up. And so you can see that the timer got really low there because I was like, is he in range? I couldn't tell. I could not tell. So I make the safe play and I go out to Vaporeon on the Liquidation. Liquidation would have still KO'd me, I believe, from that range. I don't know. I think that the correct play would have just been to go for the Extreme Speed because I could have just followed it up with Brambleghast going for Shadow Sneak. And that's functionally what we're going to end up doing anyway. Like here he goes for the Terra Blast Electric, and good golly, that does a lot of damage. Even without the Sheer Force boost, the Life Orb means that, whew, thank you for max defense Vaporeon. We do not KO him. This is the second time one of his Pokemon has lived on barely a sliver. So unfortunate. It happened with the Yuxi earlier, and this time with the Feraligatr. And I don't have a switch into this thing. I would have loved if I could have KO'd him with the Scald, because I would have had another defensive piece left for the Rev Room later on, and I would have had the opportunity to wish up, I believe, at some point here. With the Feraligator's health this low, of course, that means that he cannot swap out, as he will die to re-entry from the spikes. I thought that he might want to save the sack, maybe, because that could help him out like against Flamigo or something like that if he just needs to swap moves or something like that on a choice Pokemon in the back. But I'm not going to play around with any of that, and I'm also not going to assume that I'm faster. We're just going to go for Shadow Sneak and pick up the KO here. And with it being that close, there's a scenario where I exited this exchange and I still had my Vaporeon and I still have my Arcanine with +1 attack, +1 defense. But we took the safe route and we sacrificed Vaporeon for it. Let's see what happens in the end game of this battle. Now, Mismagius comes out, and again, I went into the battle assuming probably a Scarf Mismagius, just because of the speed tiers. Mismagius is usually a little slower than Gengar, and Choice Scarf would fix that problem, right? Right. So I did want to just go straight for the Shadow Sneak here, because if he were Scarfed, I actually had a shot to KO with max attack coming off the Shadow Sneak here. But if he wasn't Scarfed, then maybe I could, just put him in range of like, oh, you can't sub, your HP is too low, or something like that. He actually has the berry that resists the damage from Ghost-type moves, and so I don't really do that much damage, and he's able to take out my Brambleghast, certainly the MVP of this battle, with a Shadow Ball. So I was quite sad about that. But on the plus side, now he doesn't have the berry, and so I bring out Gengar, but then I realized Chestnut has the ability that blocks all bomb and ball attacks, and I'm Scarfed. So if he goes out to Chestnut right now, and I go for the Shadow Ball, then I'll be stuck on the field and have to switch to something else, and I don't really have the defensive pieces anymore like I used to. And so I thought that the switch to Chestnut was so obvious. That I end up clicking Sludge Wave as he just freaking stays in, and I could have killed the Mismagius. So I think that's like the fourth turn where I could smell the blood and I just didn't take it. I didn't take it. What the heck? It's painful, I tell you. Not as painful as getting hit in the face by a Shadow Ball, but we are in the end game now. The end game, I have my Arcanine and my choice banded Flamigo left. With what he has, I have to go out to Arcanine here because Flamigo will just die to a move from Mismagius. Now, Gengar's parting gift from my stupid play was Curse Body, which disables Mismagius' ability to use Shadow Ball. So here I was thinking he might go for a coverage move, but he's not going to KO me. I have HP investment. I can get my HP back. And so I go for Morning Sun, which will recover half of my HP. But he has Taunt. And so I get nothing.
You get nothing. Good day, sir.
That sucks. Because it would have been even better if he had taunted and I just flare blitzed. Because now I have to take the Dazzling Gleam chip on top of the flare blitz recoil. And that means that I won't have enough HP left to switch out and switch back in if needed. And Arcanine, you are here for the end game, sir. Because I don't really need to switch Flamigo's moves. I just need to go for close combat at the end. Assuming that, you know, it does enough to Chestnut. There is a version of this where we can win. Because the Swampert, when it comes in and takes the spikes, number one, a crit here would knock out the Swampert. Number two, I could also bird the Swampert with Flare Blitz. Number three, I could go out to Flamigo on an Earthquake. However, that would be a stupid risk. It's much more likely he'll go for a water type move just because it covers all those bases. So we're just going to stay in here and go for the extreme speed just for the chip. I also could have gone for the Flare Blitz, just trying to hope for a burn, but I wanted the guaranteed chip here so that way I could go for the weaker option on Swampert if I needed to, like a dual wing beat or something like that. Now I put dual wing beat onto Flamigo on the off chance that something had a substitute, or if I was in a position where I needed the flying move and I did not want to take recoil. And now that we're in the end game and I'm going to come in and take these stealth rocks and be under half my HP, this is a situation where I don't really want to take the recoil. Now Chestnut can get paralyzed here and then I can take it out. But I didn't think Chestnut had a way to take out my Flamigo, so I just went for close combat because I needed a strong hit versus the Revavroom. And I'm locked on that move with my Choice Band. Now he is able to go for knockoff. He gets a crit with the defense drop and knocks off my Choice Band. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want the recoil, so now's the time for the dual wing beat. And then from here, I might be able to still clean up things with the Revavroom depending on its investment and set. We haven't even seen that car hit the field. Kirby pulls up to the battle in the Revavroom, leaves it in park the whole match. And that's kind of how I felt after missing the final dual wing beat of the whole match. 90% accurate moves, huh? I missed Muddy Water and I missed the dual wing beat. But how many times did Kirby get paralyzed? I don't know. So, Kirby, thank you for the battle. I am mystified at the 90% accurate moves. Between those and Triple Axle, I have been missing those joints a lot lately. I don't get it. I do know that I appreciate you being here right now in this moment, listening to my voice.
Is that my voice?
And watching my battles. Thank you. The Victorian shadows will rise next week, and we will come back from this, and we will be out for blood. No more hesitation. Expect us. Good night.